So take me then to the point when everyone is doubting you, except maybe you and Brenda occasionally. But what is that like when they're saying, you know, Kurt Warner, man, he's yesterday's story. He set records. He did incredible things. He made history, but it's all over with now. And on the inside, you know, there's greatness still in you.
That part sucks. I say, that part sucks. Still haven't gotten used to that part. Oh, man. You know, but it is tough. And, you know, what I remember so vividly was I remember winning the Super Bowl, and I remember getting that opportunity to give Jesus the glory. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I'm going to win the Super Bowl every year. As long as I keep giving God the glory, I'm going to win the Super Bowl every year. This is why he brought me here, you know, to speak to millions and millions. I mean, I think that Super Bowl, there was 110 million people watching when I was able to profess Jesus. And I thought, this is it. You know, I worked all that other time in the grocery stores and arena football. This is it. You know, and I thought, there's no way I could ever impact more people than I'm doing right now. And ironically enough, obviously it wasn't too many years later where I went from being an MVP to sitting on the bench. And I thought, you know, like I think most of us do when we go through those things, God, what are you doing? I mean, I had a lot of impact for you when I was on top. I mean, didn't you notice? I mean, I'll keep doing it, I promise. Just put me back there, I'll keep doing it. You know, and you know, you get the letters and you get people talking to you and churches all over the place. And I mean, it was a pretty amazing moment, especially for me since I was really young in my faith at that time. But what I realized through the down times was that I probably had more lasting impact on people in the down times than I did in the up times.
Really?
And I know it's amazing when you're saying you're talking to 110 million people, but what I'm talking about is the people that got to see me every day, and they got to see me living my life the exact same way when I won an MVP or when I won a Super Bowl as when I was benched. Those people were impacted for life. And the people that sat down and talked to me, the people in the locker room that came over and started asking me questions about my faith, the media people that started gravitating to me and telling me, you know, I've been watching you all these years, and you've really had an impact upon me, and what makes you different? And the amazing opportunities to really dive into my faith. You know, it's one thing to stand up on a podium and have somebody in another country hear you say, thank you, Jesus. And obviously there's some awesome things that come to that. But there's another thing to be able to have people seek you out and say, tell me about this Jesus guy. Tell me what this life is all about.
Awesome.
And that's what I learned through those times. And though, you know, like I said, it still sucks and it's hard and you never want to be in that place. But I was able to figure out early enough that God wanted to use everything in my life. And he wanted to use the high and the low times. And it's been amazing because everywhere I've been, he's done the exact same thing. Amazingly enough, that I went to St. Louis, Super Bowl MVP, then I was benched. I went to New York the year before the team was 4-12. We were 4-1 in my first 5 starts. By week 9, I was benched again. So I was on top and everybody loved me, and then I was benched again. Same thing happened here. You know, my first year, we were the #1 passing offense in the league. By the 3rd game in my 2nd year, I was back on the bench. And it's been amazing to see everywhere I've gone that he's done the same thing. And I remember when I was in St. Louis, I remember being in the back room at our church there. And we were talking to the pastor and his wife one night. And I don't know if he had just preached on Job or I was studying Job or what it was. But I remember looking over at him and saying, I hope when it's all said and done, that I can be remembered like Job, that I can be remembered to have the faith of Job, you know, throughout everything that happened to him. And I remember them saying, well, you know, you don't want to be like Job. You don't want to have all that. And I was like, no, I don't want to go through what Job went through, but I want to be remembered as being someone faithful through everything. And it's amazing how my career has kind of pinnacled that. You know, I had everything was going in my favor, and then God opened up the door to allow the enemy to take some stuff away. Why did he do that? And it's the one part of Job that we don't talk about that I love, is that you hear about the enemy coming to God and saying, you know, how am I supposed to touch Job? How am I supposed to get to Job? You've got your hands around him. And basically, you know, God said, or no, he basically said, I can't, who should I attack? And God said, have you thought about Job? So first thing God did, he offered up Job. Have you thought about Job? But Job had everything. And then he said, well, I can't touch him because your hands are around him. And God said, I tell you what, I'm going to take my hands off of him in a lot of regards. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but I'm going to take my hands off of him. And I thought that was interesting, and all that stuff happens to Job. But what I realized is God was saying, I know my servant Job is going to be faithful. Yeah. I know no matter if he's on top and he has everything, or whether you touch everything in the physical realm, he's going to stay faithful. And that story has really sunk into my testimony. And I believe, God has used that to encourage me and inspire me through my walk to say, hey, I'm going to let the enemy have some opportunity to take what the world thinks life is all about.
Yeah. Does it then make the victory sweeter, more precious, if you will? Do you savor it a little more after having had it than having had it taken away, than regaining it? Or does it feel pretty well the same?
I mean, it feels pretty much the same, but I think that I've gotten so separated from that part of it.
Okay.
In that, coming into this year, all I could think to myself was, this is set up for God to do something awesome. Yeah. And it's gotten so separated from me that it's just like, I know how God works. Yeah. He waits for the time when it doesn't look like you should be able to accomplish anything. I'm the old guy, the slow guy that's way past his prime. There's no chance of this guy doing anything. Mm-hmm. And it's then when God steps in. Yeah. And so the sweetness of all this is just the fact that God's going to get glory from this, because no one ever expected this to happen. Yeah. And that's the way my career started. Yeah. That's the way my career's finishing up. And that's the way I want it, because I want God to get glory in everything that I do. Yeah. And the only way for him to get that is for me to be taken out of the picture. Awesome. And it's been pretty awesome.